A Michigan Republican, a former House Speaker, Lee Chatfield, has been accused of sexual assault. And not just sexual assault, but also trafficking his sister-in-law since she was a teenager, since she was a child. So now, the woman is 26-year-old Rebecca Chatfield. And so she claims that Lee had begun assaulting her when she was a student at Northern Michigan Christian Academy in Burt Lake, Michigan, where Lee Chatfield was working at the time as a teacher, coach, and athletic director at the school before taking office as a Republican back in 2014. So now, according to reports by Bridge, Michigan, she is currently married to Lee Chatfield's brother, Aaron. Now, Aaron has actually supported her in the allegations. That's good to see, especially when you get in later to the relationship between Lee and Aaron. As they are brothers, of course, they had, in some cases, worked closely together. So now you have Aaron saying, yeah, I believe my wife. But you have Lee's father, the Reverend Stanley Rusty Chatfield III, who serves as the pastor of Northern Michigan Baptist Bible Church and as a superintendent and a history teacher at the academy that is attached to the church, who has denied these allegations. So now Lee Chatfield's attorney, Mary Chartier of Okemos, issued a statement on Friday denying the allegations. Here's the statement on that. Quote, Mr. Chatfield is innocent of the false rape claims made against him, adding that Chatfield's sexual relationship with Rebecca was a consensual affair. Now, again, the details is that he had begun doing statutory rape, and that's what it is. This relationship when she was 15. So now, allegedly, of course. Now, a woman who answered the phone at Northern Michigan Christian Academy on Monday said the school wants to just say that all the criminal allegations are false. She did then not identify herself and would not provide further comment about the allegations. Now, Rebecca's attorney, Jamie White, another Okemos-based attorney who actually represented dozens of women in the sexual assault civil suits against Larry Nassar that had happened recently, told the Advance that the assaults actually began when she was about 14 or 15 years old and continued until about July of 2021. So that is a very, very long-standing relationship that they had, going from when she was a child and was not able to consent until now, even after she had been married to Aaron Chatfield. So now, here's what Rebecca's attorney, Jamie White, said. Quote, Lee Chatfield used his position of power and influence while in the church and the school, and I think those things are very important, and had an ongoing sexual relationship with this young teenage girl that lasted beyond her teenage years and even after Chatfield's brother had married her. Rebecca also told Bridge, Michigan that when she had met Lee for the first time, she was both going through a traumatic and vulnerable time in her life. So now you have that coupled with his authority and standing within a religious institution, and these allegations of abusing that authority, using that authority that he had as both a religious figure and a teacher and a coach, and this vulnerable child. And here you had a situation where there's alleged rape. Well, great. So that's what happened here. Now, it's also important to note that this is highly illegal. Now, the age of consent in Michigan is 16. So I just read you the ages 14 and 15 versus when this allegedly started. And then an added layer, when you're involving an educator at a school, the age of consent age actually rises to 18 in Michigan. So that's That's the legal implications there, meaning he is facing some pretty serious charges. So now it also gets worse because this guy's now in Republican politics. So now, in fact, there was one incident that was reported that happened in the state capitol. In fact, according to Rebecca, Lee had pressured her into sex in his Capitol office while her husband went out to grab dinner. Oh yeah, just go out and run out and grab them pizzas. Don't worry, I'll take care of your wife. Not a problem. And my sister-in-law. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Now, as a result of this investigation, these allegations that are now being investigated by the Michigan State Police, you had current House Speaker Jason Wentworth, a Republican from Clare, who is now ordering all House members and staff to retain any documentation that may be of interest to this investigation, including email, memo, calendars, and voicemails. And so now, it gets even more interesting. So now the husband, Aaron Chatfield, told Bridge that he had spent some time working as Lee, his brother's unofficial driver. So not necessarily on the payroll, kind of on the DL. And what would they do? Well, it turns out that Aaron would drive his brother to strip clubs or to meet with women, including a former staffer. So now there's even more of a twisty twist on that. Because here he is driving his brother out to strip clubs and to meet other women, knowing that he was also married. So that's interesting. Now, Lee Chapman, I believe he has, Chatfield has 5 kids and is married. And so the brother's like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. Let's drive you out to the clubs. You're going to meet women. Look, I don't know if he knew that he was having affairs with, or with those women or whatever. And I certainly don't believe that Aaron knew that there was a sexual relationship going on between Lee and his wife. So he's driving this guy around. Maybe he had to have had some sort of an inkling that he was a bit of a creeper, that his brother was a bit of a creeper, but it's probably just like, whatever. Well, I guess that kind of bit him in the butt. Now, here's the other thing, right? Apparently, Lee is known to be a bit of a partier. Now, I don't have any problem with partying. Okay, have fun, right? But as I said, the whole family values thing kind of flies out the window when, you're not only cheating on your wife, but also having sex with your brother's wife. Very strange. Very strange. So now let's go to another representative here. This is State Representative Kara Hope, who talked to the Advance. She's a Democrat. And here's what she said. She said that the former speaker in the GOP state legislature had a particular culture that was a male authority culture, and added that Lee was known as a partier but was not aware of any details or allegations beyond that. But here's her quote. You can kind of tell that they're used to being the boss and having women not question them. There's an air of immaturity, and it's definitely tinged with sexism. More than tinged, dyed with sexism. State Representative Julie Brixey also added, she's a Democrat from Meridian Township, she added that Lansing is embroiled in what she calls a sexist culture that seeps into the workplace in the Capitol. Brixey said that she had noticed it in the way Republican colleagues look at young female Democratic representatives when they're giving their floor speeches. So, quote, you recognize things as immature, or I'm sorry, you recognize things as you mature. You recognize things that you've experienced in the past. It's somehow easier to see it happening to someone else than sometimes it is to see it happening to you when you're experiencing it firsthand. And that's something that I really didn't like about our sessions on the House floor. It's that culture that seems to be acceptable. And so there's a couple of different things that are going on here. So for one, you've got this guy who, his family values Republican, that is going out and having sex with his brother's wife, and had been abusing her back when she was a teenager, a child, and was unable to consent. So there's that issue. And then add to that he's a partier, and that, he is enmeshed and embroiled in this culture of basically sexism that is indicative of the GOP at large. And I would also add, probably not just the GOP, but generally when you get a lot of men in power, older men especially, who are not with it, who are not with the current times. You know what I'm saying? Who are kind of stuck in that past and either they haven't realized that the things that they're doing are wrong and sexist, or they don't care. That's the other option as well. And so that's why I don't find any of this all that surprising. Oh, are you saying, people are doing a sexism in government? No, of course not. How dare you? I never would have heard of such a thing. It's like going into a casino and saying, I cannot believe there is gambling in this establishment. It is an issue within our political system, massively. And you do see it a lot, happen a lot on the right wing, but it's not exclusive to the right. But you do hear a lot more of it from the right. So now, there's more here. And this could, again, further spell more possible legal trouble for Mr. Chatfield, Lee specifically. Rebecca's lawyer added that he expects the case against Chatfield to grow extensively, saying, quote, that there are murmurings that there may be federal implications based on interstate travel. Now, that sounds a lot like, I don't know, Matt Gaetz. Which Matt Gaetz still not in trouble for. And yet he did something fairly similar, going out and allegedly having sex with teenagers. And then, of course, giving them money. Fascinating. So now, knowing that Matt Gaetz hasn't actually gotten in trouble for this, I'm kind of questioning whether or not this guy will also get in trouble for this. We don't know. But then they bring in something else. They add into it by saying, quote, I think you'll hear other allegations involving financial improprieties when he was Speaker. We're going to hear a really extraordinary level of behavior while he was Speaker of the House as it pertains to his movement through the community. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. So now, as I said before, for the victim, her husband, again, supports her. That's good. There are other family members that also have said that they support her, including people related to Mr. Chatfield, who decided that they can no longer look away with what's going on. Interesting. So now, obviously, the allegations, they're not proven yet. There's an investigation that's going on by the Michigan State Police, which is, again, probably going to take some time, but it will be interesting to see if they do indeed turn up anything else. Any more financial impropriety. I think that's more important to me than, I guess any sexual impropriety. Even though, look, and again, if you're a politician and you want to, have an affair, I don't really care. That's not my thing. Now, where I do care is when you prey on vulnerable children. And of course, when you do hypocrisy. So those are the two issues here. So there's, of course, the hypocrisy of being, again, part of the party of family values and all that. Oh, we care about the care so much about the family, and we think trans people and gay people are destroying the family. Whereas I not only am destroying my own family, but I'm also destroying someone else's family. And so here we go on that. It's the hypocrisy. It's the hypocrisy of the entire situation. And again, it's the predation where this guy went after this vulnerable, allegedly, this vulnerable 14, 15-year-old, essentially child. That's disgusting. And it's wrong, and it's illegal. And I sure hope that, there is enough evidence to not only remove this person from his position, but put him where he belongs. If he's a predator, then he needs to go to prison. So anyway, we'll have to see what happens. Let me just say one more thing too. I cannot tell you the amount of courage it takes to come out with these allegations like this. To say that, yes, this is what happened. No, it was not an affair. It was not consensual, as I couldn't consent as a child, and I don't want to do this anymore. And for that alone, she needs to be commended for the bravery for coming out, because it's not an easy thing to challenge powerful people, which is exactly what these religious, church, and governmental leaders are. So, huge props to her for coming out.